Now, this is not an exercise physiology class, but I thought we should cover a few terms that you'll hear when you're thinking about muscles. So, muscle fatigue is when you are unable to contract your muscles, and this is caused by an oxygen deficit. Now, true muscle fatigue is kind of hard to hit. Most people will stop before this, but if you've ever watched a marathon before, you'll see some people who literally collapse on the side of the road. Those are people who have muscle fatigue. They don't have enough oxygen and their muscles have burned through all that ATP, all the creatine phosphate they have, and they are done. Let's talk about isotonic versus isometric contraction. So sometimes our muscle contraction is not successful, and instead of actually moving the object, we'll just hold tension instead. So an isotonic contraction is when you contract and you're able to move something, whereas isometric is when the obstacle is too great for success. Muscle tone cannot be controlled. So even when you're relaxed, you're going to have some fibers that are contracting. And this is not a visible twitch, this is not a visible contraction, but is continuous and partial to keep your muscle healthy. So keep an active tone in your muscles. This is why you're going to burn more calories even at rest if you have more muscle mass, because your muscles are still going to be working, are still going to be contracting, even when you're not using them actively. Let's talk about aerobic versus resistance exercise. So aerobic exercise is good to create the other things around muscles. So aerobic exercise makes you more flexible, less likely to fatigue. It increases the blood supply in our muscles. It increases the number of mitochondria in your muscles, so you're able to use oxygen more effectively, and it allows more oxygen penetration, increases that blood supply, so we're able to bring more oxygen to our muscles. And this is a total body effect. So research has shown that increasing aerobic exercise is going to help improve your metabolism, your digestion, your coordination. We talked about the effects muscle activity has on the skeletal system. It's going to improve your cardiac function. So your heart is going to pump more blood and your lungs are going to be more efficient. So you always want to include some form of aerobic exercise. But aerobic exercise is not going to increase the size of your muscles. To do that, you need to do resistance training. So you want to do isometric, so isotonic leading to isometric. You lift weights until you reach the point where you can't lift it anymore. And this is going to enlarge the muscle cell itself. So we're going to create more filaments, more cytoskeleton, and we're also going to increase the connective tissue around our muscles. So a good exercise program is going to incorporate both aerobic and resistance training. So think about these true or false questions for a minute as we end this video. So muscle fatigue is caused by an oxygen deficit and is defined as the inability to contract skeletal muscle. Isometric contractions always result in movement. 3, when a muscle is relaxed, no fibers are contracting. And 4, aerobic exercise increases muscle size. Take a minute and write down answers and see if you can come up with the correct ones. Then go back and rewatch the videos and check your answers. In the next video, we'll talk about the gross anatomy of our muscles.